Well, most of us spent today tucking into leftovers and enjoying a day of rest after a big Christmas day. But a lot of people find this time of year incredibly stressful. The cost of living crisis has hit a lot of people hard, and all of that, of course, is exaggerated at Christmas time. It might be the happiest time of year, but not for everyone. Joining me is the Salvation Army's Major Brendan Nottle. Brendan, thanks for coming in tonight. I understand the Salvation Army were running Christmas lunches right around the country yesterday, and I heard that the Salvos were expecting yesterday might well be the biggest Christmas you've ever had. Tell me about it.
We're still getting our figures in, James, but we will run off our feet. And I think the word overwhelmed is the word that really comes to mind for me. Overwhelmed on a couple of fronts. So I think I was staggered by the number of volunteers that turned up and gave up their Christmas day for others. Just Australia at its best. And people's generosity around food, around toy donations was incredible. But overwhelmed too to see the number of people that came through. So I've been doing this work in the City of Melbourne for 22 years. I've never seen the numbers that we saw yesterday, and in fact that we've seen right throughout December. So it's an indication, a very clear indication, that an increasing number of people are doing it really tough at the moment.
I know you said you're still collating the figures, but you said you're in Melbourne yesterday. Yeah. What sort of numbers are we talking about? People trying to access the Salvation Army for Christmas lunch?
Yeah, so Christmas brunch we had on yesterday morning. So normally we get 300 to 350. Yesterday, 650.
Wow.
So that's an indication that numbers are through the roof. We have another lunch where we normally get around 350, 400. We had 550 at that lunch yesterday. So it's a clear indication. Every Christmas event that we've run right throughout December has seen a significant increase in the numbers.
And are these homeless people, or are these people from suburbs who simply can't afford a Christmas? What sort of people are making use of the Salvation Army Christmas lunches?
Yeah, historically it's been people that have been homeless or at risk of homelessness, but we're seeing first-timers now. So the Salvation Army conducted some research and found that 1.9 million people would be reaching out to our services across Australia, and 55% of that group would be first-time seekers of help.
Right.
So that's significant, and we see it. You can actually tell when someone comes into the centre. We've got 400 centres around the country. You can actually tell when someone's coming in for the first time, because there's often this sense of shame, the head's down, and you know they're thinking, this is the last place I want to be. And some of the people that we see coming in for help are actually people that previously have donated to the Salvos or to organisations like ours.
Wow.
And they've done nothing wrong. You know, it's that they haven't made a mistake. It's simply they can't make ends meet. So we've had, mums with kids come into our centres, and they've got a partner that's off working really hard trying to make ends meet, and they simply can't. And we're seeing, it's things like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane have three of the highest rental markets in the world. So when you look at those figures, it's not people's fault that they can't make ends meet. It's just really tough at the moment for so many.
Just talking to people yesterday here in Melbourne, what sort of stories were you hearing?
Well, I think there's a really deep sense of uncertainty now about the immediate future for people. So people are saying, I just don't know what else I can do. So rent is out of control and out of their control. We've got interest rates that are significantly high, and people aren't sure what the future is for interest rates here in this country. And we've got people actually saying to us, I've switched off my power because I'm really worried that I won't be able to pay the energy bill. And that's really concerning when people are health compromised, because potentially, like some of the days we're experiencing across Australia at the moment, it's life and death for some people if they don't switch the air conditioning on. So these are really troubling times for so many Australians.
With a new year about to begin, obviously people start to reset things. What advice have you got for people who are struggling? What do you say to them in terms of moving forward? I mean, it's great they got Christmas lunch yesterday,
yep,
but the Salvos can't provide lunch every single day. What do you tell people to try and put them on the right path?
Two things. One is don't panic. So if you're not making ends meet, don't be overwhelmed. Actually reach out to organisations like the Salvation Army. So we run an excellent program called Money Care that can assist. And there are other organisations that run excellent programs as well. And the other thing that we would say to another group of people is don't put your head in the sand. If you're feeling that things are overwhelming at the moment, don't ignore it, actually do something about it. And we can do some work with you around the immediate help that is required to make ends meet, but we'll sit down with you and look at perhaps restructuring some of the financial issues that you have for the medium to long term so that we help get you back on your feet again. So there's help there, and I think people need to reach out to Salvos and organisations like ours, but reach out to family and friends and just have an honest conversation.
I don't know if you still use the slogan, thank God for the salvos. Do you guys still use that slogan?
I don't use it myself. I feel uncomfortable with it, but people still use it, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely applies. And in the lead up to Christmas, of course, there's a Salvation Army appeal, which I know people are always very willing to support. I just wanted to ask you before we go to a break, is that still continuing right now? If people wanted to donate, obviously we've just had Christmas, but as you say, the work continues in helping people who have fallen on hard times. Are people still able to donate? And if people watching want to do so, how do they go about that?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, James, is the need doesn't stop when Christmas stops. So the need continues on right throughout the year, and it's on the increase. So whatever people can donate is really gratefully appreciated. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned the word overwhelmed before. I get incredibly overwhelmed at the amazing generosity of Australians. So when life is tough, Australia is the sort of nation that actually looks out for those that are doing it tough. They're amazing, to be really honest. And so if people can help, they can go to salvationarmy.org.au or 13 Salvos, and whatever they can donate would be really gratefully appreciated.